It's good to see you. My name is not David Gara. I am Wallace. I'm one of the associate pastors here at Orange United Methodist. We're going to try something new today. But two things I really pride myself in are one, trying new things, and two, always being prepared. One of those two we're going to do today. The network here at church is down and it's not coming back up, so there's no way to print. So, Viola, we have a laptop to preach from. It's going to be a little distracting, but 8 o'clock went okay, so no worries. It's going to be all right. So I typically am prepared as part of my personality. It's very important to me. And I was prepared. I was ready to go. I had the sermon good to go last night, and yesterday, I was detached from like what was going on in the world. My parents came and we had a great day. Ashley gave me a smoker for my birthday, so we got to use that. We had a really great day, and it was good. The sermon was good. It was ready to roll. And then my parents left, and we started the bedtime routine. Flipped on the 10 o'clock news. Anybody watch the news last night? It looks like Charlottesville is in what we might call a state of hell, really having a tough time. So I thought I got to say something. Got to say something like, what is this chaos? What is this mess? What does it mean? Why do we have these white supremacists marching and being violent? And so this morning I got up early and kind of adapted the sermon a little bit. Bubba calls the network. There's no way to print it, so I have a computer. This morning, or this weekend, I guess, is traditionally the college move-in weekend, right? Some moved in last weekend, state moves in this weekend, most of them move in next weekend. Anybody going to college? I see 2, 3, 4, lots, good. Right, so moving in to college, and this transition to college is a big deal, and I'm not just talking to y'all, I'm talking to everybody. Transition to college, a big deal. It's in the college experience where we kind of transition out and into this more responsibility. So managing school and work and play, learning how to wash clothes, and learning how to do these very basic life events. And I'll tell you, one of the most important things you're going to learn is how to use a microwave. I don't mean to brag. I don't brag. I do brag a lot, but I do. So I learned to be pretty good the microwave in my college days. And I don't mean like the lean cuisine or hungry man, put it in the microwave and heat it up. I'm talking like gourmet meals. I'm talking for breakfast and do cheese grits and scrambled eggs and biscuits and bacon. And for dinner, I can make a homemade lasagna that will put any of your grandmas to shame. And I can make brownies with hot fudge, and I can do all of these different things in the microwave. And I was so proud, and I was like, I don't need an oven. I got a microwave. Oh, but no matter how hard I tried to fool myself, there was no fooling. Microwave meals never quite came out as good as my mom's home cooking. Seems there's something about the time invested that makes an experience. We know this, and yet every late night infomercial is trying to sell for $19.95 America's next quick fix to get something more quickly than we originally have. We're always interested in how to get things more quickly. We're always focused on time and energy to work ratio. And the time spent writing that paper on Chaucer in freshman English, or the time spent memorizing body parts for A&P, or the time spent in study room scribbling math equations on the study room windows, is the time invested. It's where the magic happens. There would be lots of times in life we feel like we just wish we could stick that thing in the microwave, stick that paper in the microwave, or that project in the microwave, or that life event in the microwave, and just push the buttons and let it go, and it'll ding when it's over, and we'll come out and it's okay. come out and it's okay. It's tempting to pull the all-nighter. It's tempting to crank out the paper, to cram for the exam, to throw together a poster and bribe the printer to get it in on time. None of this from experience, but I could imagine it might happen. The microwave experience is never the real deal. And even worse, though, the microwave journey, this microwave journey of putting an event in a microwave and setting it to coast and letting it happen while we're over here, it's dangerous. It's so dangerous. An event, a life situation that's not like deconstructed or thought about or developed, it's a dangerous journey. The microwave journey in school may be having to relearn everything you crammed for the midterm again for the final because you didn't actually learn it. Or maybe the microwave journey is watching the 10 o'clock news and wondering if it's 1962 as the Cuban Missile Crisis and white supremacists are rioting over James Meredith's admission to Ole Miss, or it's 2017 and we're facing the threat of nuclear war and Nazis are marching on Charlottesville. Maybe you're faced with the death of a spouse, and just wanting to put it in the microwave and let it go and not deal with the pain and not deal with the loss and not deal with the anguish and just let that be and come out on the other side of it. Or maybe you're faced with some big life event, maybe your own death, or maybe a big medical diagnosis, and all you can know of God are these platitudes or these random scriptures that are meaningless outside of context because you've been microwaving your faith for 60 years and you have nothing meaningful to sink your teeth into. It's tempting to want to microwave the experience, whatever it is, to see it as something to get through, to quickly forget it ever happened, to be on the other side of the experience so we don't suffer the pain, the confusion, the anxiety. But the journey, this idea of journey, can't be microwaved. Can't be microwaved. But, I mean, wouldn't it be nice just sometimes, every now and then, just for short bits, to microwave just a little bit to get through, to put it in the microwave, to hit the timer, and to forget about it till it's done. Whether it's Thursday evening and it's been a long week and you're exhausted and you have nothing ready to cook for the family or for you, and you just want to just put something in the microwave and have it to eat. Or maybe it's Monday morning of exam week and you just really want to push just a little bit to get through to Friday. Or maybe it's a dreaded conversation with a friend, or maybe it's struggling with your kid's mental health diagnosis, or maybe it's wrapping your mind around your parents facing the end of their life, or the grief of facing your own life, the fear of nuclear war or oppressive racism. We often want things just to hurry up and finish, to move on to the good life, this promised land. Some of you have experienced, because you shared with me, and I'm so grateful for it, an experience in the neonatal intensive care unit. Many of you know, but Ashley and I have twins that were born 3 months prematurely, so we spent 3 months living at the UNC hospital. And this intense time of doctors hovering all of the time, of incessant beeping from the machines which are keeping your child alive, the constant awareness of your child's teetering between life and death, this complicating holding regimens. There was no just picking up the child, the exhaustion of managing work and home and school and play and hospital. I found myself often wishing, praying, willing time to just move a little bit more quickly. Every time I would go to the hospital, I would count the grams that they had grown, just so waiting for that 5 5-pound mark they had to hit that seemed so far away from under 3 pounds. Just looking at that 60 milliliters of milk that they had to take before they went home, at the 1.5 milliliters that they were taking now seemed so far away. And I found myself praying, this just needs to go. If we can just get home, we won't have to worry anymore. That's funny. We can just get home. We won't have to worry. Won't have to be so hyper aware of our children's lives. We won't have to be so conscious on being careful with touching them and holding them and changing diapers. And so I was praying and wishing and wanting to microwave life. And then they got home and feeding was a nightmare. So it started to wish that away. And we were praying, said if we can just get through this, and then if they can just be able to hold their bottles on their own, if they can eat our own food, if they can crawl, if they can walk, if they can talk and tell us what they need, if they can get through school, if they get daycare, they can get to daycare, if they can graduate college, if they can get a life, if they can get insurance and then start a family and grandkids. Whoa! Like Ashley and I had this conversation. My parents were there actually. My mom called me out on it and said, Wallace, you're wishing life away. You got to embrace it. You got to live in the moment. Microwaving life, it's so tempting. Get wrapped up in our minds. If we can just get to this date in life, we'll be at the promised land. If we can just get there. But I wonder if life is more than just getting to the promised land. If you ever wanted to microwave life? Ever wanted to just let me get through something? God said to the Israelites in this story, it's kind of a confusing story. I'll break it down just super quick. The Israelites have been on this journey, right? We're on the journey through Exodus, and they've been through the wilderness. And at this point, I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while. It's been a while. And so the Israelites start asking God, so on this journey for the promised land, when are we going to get there? And there's a line in there that I think is so important. And it says, and God says this to the Israelites, but I will not drive them out, being the people who are already in the promised land. I will not drive them out in a single year because the land would become too desolate and wild animals would be too numerous for you. But little by little, I'll drive them out before you until you've increased enough to take possession. God says that you're on this journey until you're ready for it. Until you're ready for it. It's so hard letting go of our expectations of timing. The Israelites, they did not want to let go of time. We all want to articulate and control what we understand as our time. They'd much rather have a microwave journey and get straight to the good part. Now, hear this. While the promised land was the goal of the Israelites, I wonder if the goal for God was actually like the journey. During the journey of the Israelites, God showed up constantly. To start with, it was the pillar of fire and the clouds by day, and it guided them. And then God showed up by offering manna and by offering the quail for them to eat. And God's constantly showing up. And you all know this. What's the best way to build trust? Best way to build trust. Anybody know? Yeah, you can tell me. No? Yeah, showing up. Best way of building trust. We can call it trust or faith or reliance or being there. The best way to build trust, to build faith, to build reliance on God is God showing up over the journey. And so this is what we have. And God continues this with next. And he says, see, I'm sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way. It seems almost as if the intent of the journey is to develop God's people to have a total reliance on God. So just as God led the Israelites on a journey through life, to know God, as a time of preparation for this promised land. So I believe God uses our journeys, not necessarily that God causes our journeys in some ways, maybe, but I think definitely God uses our journeys to push us to this idea of the promised land. And you are here this morning because on some spectrum of relationship with God, you're on this journey of knowing God. You're searching for and looking for the promised land, looking for some glimpse of God here in this craziness, wondering if, expecting God to show up. Maybe you're here looking for some microwave faith. maybe life is rough right now. You think maybe I better go to church. Maybe that'll help out. Or maybe you're here on a very long part of the journey, and faith and this trust in God is very ordinary to you. Whatever piece of the journey you're on, though, know this, that the journey is so life transformational. The journey with God will radically change your life. I can microwave my faith and come up with curt, rote answers for complex problems and offer them out, or I can go to church every now and then when I feel like I need a dose of God, or believe whatever I want to about God that resounds nicely within my echo chamber. But an experience with God, looking to God daily, changes a person. You may have heard it called repentance or justification or a changed life or following Christ, but a journey with God fundamentally changes a person. I had the opportunity to spend some time with one of the more profound leaders during the 60s, the racial reconciliation integration movement. He was one of the founders of SNCC, which is the Student Nonviolent Committee that formed as a way to help people confront this issue that was systemic racism. We'll call him Tom for now. I don't have his permission to share his story, but last spring, I spent a week with him heard some of his stories, and the most profound story I heard from him was this life of his father journeying with God. His dad was a faithful Christian, church every Sunday, suit and tie, served as a deacon, was super involved with church, but also a leader in the local Klan. And he was a leader in the Klan because his father was a Klansman. And Tom, recently a teenager, also was suiting up. So they would go to marches on Saturday night and then show up to church on Sunday praising God. So this man understood himself as a faithful Christian. And as faithful Christians do, he took the opportunity to go on a mission trip to Europe. Tom's dad went on this mission trip to Europe, and it was a long one. It was a summer-long, couple months. And on this time, he got miserably homesick. I mean, imagine your southern country bumpkin that jumps on a plane, never flown before, and goes to Europe to spend time with strangers. I mean, this is homesick. And on that journey, Tom's dad, for some way, found his way into a home, a black family in Europe. And in that space, he found something